Hello everybody and welcome to English Grammar with Ameya sir, and it is time for us to study a wonderful poem from the 11th standard English Yuvakbharati, and the name of the poem is There Is Another Sky, written by Emily Dickinson. It's the second unit, it's the section 2, which is the poetry section, unit 2.3. Now we will learn more about this poem, but before that, I believe that we must dive first into more information about the poetess. So, about the poetess or about the poet in general. Emily Dickinson, 1830 to 1886, is an American poet, or let's say was an American poet. And you see a couple of images. I have got this image from Wikipedia. She lived a lonely life. Now, what is important is I've noticed this, that when someone goes through some, things that are gloomy, great people have a tendency to fight back. So you can see that she lived a lonely life, but if you see that the tone of the poem is optimistic, you will probably not believe this, that she led a lonely kind of life. This poem is actually an advice that the poetess Emily Dickinson is providing to her brother. I believe brother's name is Austin. We'll find out more. Most of her poems are motivational and philosophical. They have a deep meaning. They are unique to her era. Era is her time period and are characterized by simple and short lines. She often used slant rhymes. Now, guys, this is important. Slant rhymes are the words which don't rhyme exactly. They are often called as half rhyming as well. And unconventional capitalization, you can see that there is often some element where words are capitalized and there is no conventional reason for them to be capitalized. Now, talking of the rhyme scheme, you'll find out why I think it's not a perfect example of a sonnet in the sense the way it rhymes. We'll talk more about it, but just remember that she's known for her slant rhymes and unconventional capitalization and punctuation. Her poems are psalms. Guys, this word is psalm with a silent p, and hymns, that is your stotra or the prayers of life in all its shades. There Is Another Sky is an inspirational poem with a message, never say die. Now this can be written as hyphen word as well. Never hyphen say hyphen die. That's the attitude, never say die attitude. It is a Petrarchan sonnet. I told you it's known as Italian sonnet as well, but the rhyme scheme doesn't exactly justify that. With an octave and a sestet. And I will definitely tell you more about what is an octave and what is a sestet. The poet is communicating to her brother. I've already said that I believe his name is Austin. We'll find out soon. She encourages her brother not to get depressed under any circumstances and pleads. What do you mean by pleads? Requests. Make a sincere request. So she pleads to him to return home. Life is full of challenges. Well, that there is no doubt about. We have already by now seen so many poems. One can tackle the challenges with a positive attitude. It's very important that you never give up and have the positive attitude. The poem ends on an optimistic note. The brighter garden, this is the most important part, guys, to be noted. The brighter garden stands for choices that life offers to all. That is the meaning of the term the brighter garden, which he has used in the poem. Now let's start. The poem is a sonnet. Now, I've used this word before. We saw it in the last slide as well. A poem of 14 lines is called a sonnet. So, sonnet is a poem of 14 lines. There is an octave and a sestet. Remember, we were talking about it. So, octave is a set of 8 lines and sestet is the next set of 6 lines. So, together you have 8 and 6, 14 lines. That makes a sonnet. So sonnet is a poem of 14 lines, and this one has an octave, a set of 8 lines, and then a sestet, which is a set of 6 lines. The tone of the poem is inspirational. It shows optimism, and we have already seen that. This poem is an address to her brother. Yes, his name is Austin, by his sister, who is the poetess. She asks him never to give up or get depressed, no matter how challenging life becomes, no matter how gloomy the atmosphere is. Okay, let's dive into the poem now. There is another sky. Guys, this is a small poem, not a big poem or not a lengthy poem, but it's very meaningful indeed, and I am hopeful that you will understand it thoroughly. There is another sky, ever serene. What do you mean by that? Very peaceful, very calm, very quiet. Remember? Quiet. Ever serene and fair, and there is another sunshine, though it be darkness there. So she is telling her brother Austin that always remember that there is some place else which is very calm and very fair, non-partial. There is always sunshine somewhere. Doesn't matter how much the darkness is in the current situation. So there is another sky is hyperbole as a figure of speech used, because another sky is an overstatement. You all know that there's only one sky that we see, so there cannot be literally another sky. So due to this overstatement and exaggeration, we can see that it is an example of hyperbole. Guys, remember the pronunciation is hyperbole. It's not hyperbole. It is hyperbole. And why is that so? Another sky is an overstatement. There is only one sky. So this is exaggerated. Another thing you can observe is alliteration for the sound th being repeated here for though and there for a better poetic effect. That's it. There are no more entries. You can pause, but kindly allow me to go to the next slide. Then the poetess says, never mind faded forests, Austin. Now this reminds me, this faded forests remind me that poetess has used a lot of imagery here. Now what is an imagery? Imagery means using certain objects to signify certain mood. We are going to see this in detail. Do not worry about this at the moment. And yes, we were right. The brother's name is Austin. So she's saying, never mind the faded forest. Never mind silent fields. I guess by silent fields, she's trying to say that never mind the loneliness. Here is a little forest whose leaf is evergreen. So no matter how bad situations are at one place, there is always hope at some other place, and that's where you should focus. By faded forest and silent fields, I've already said that this is imagery. By faded forest, she means sad or gloomy atmosphere. And by silent fields, I've said that already, that it means loneliness or dullness of life. Now, this particular thing is called imagery, where the poet uses images, objects to signify certain moods. This is known as imagery. You can mark this as something that is very important. It's a poetic device question that is often asked in the board exams as well. When you go next year in the HSC, you'll have that. There are more examples of imageries, but only two as far as this one is concerned. That's it. There are no more entries. Let's proceed. You can pause the video if you want to make a note of this imagery, but kindly allow me to go forward. Okay. The climax of the poem. I told you the poem isn't lengthy at all, but it's so meaningful. The poetess is telling her brother, here is a brighter garden, and we have seen this during the introduction of this poem, brighter garden. I hope you still remember that. Brighter garden, where not a frost has been. Frost is the small white ice crystals. In its unfading flowers. Unfading is some flowers who don't lose their colors. Okay, unfading flowers. That means they never go pale. They never lose their color. I hear the bright bee hum. Pretty. Now, pretty means please. Actually, this word is very interesting. Pretty is an archaic word. I've said here. Archaic. What do you mean by archaic? Guys, archaic means old English. Pretty. P-R-I-T-H-E-E. Let me take you to the notepad for the first time today. The word is P-R-I-T-H-E-E. Pretty. Okay, the word is pretty. P-R-I-T-H-E-E. Now, this is archaic. That means that this is old English, not in use anymore. And how has this word been derived? I pray to thee. Thee means you. I pray to thee. That's how this word came into being. Pretty. I hope you getting that. So it's a contracted form of I pray to thee. That's pretty. Okay. I pray to thee. I'm sure you enjoyed that, guys. Priti, remember that. And I showed you the derivation of this word. It's an archaic word, no longer used in that sense. So it's a request. I pray to thee, please, into my garden come. Now, into my garden come, clearly you can see will be a figures of speech. We'll come to that. But first, let's study more examples of imagery on the next slide. I've told you that in the poem we saw a couple of examples of imagery, but there are more, and we have dedicated an entire slide for that. So we will, when we go to the next slide, we will see all the other examples of imagery. What do we have here for the figures of speech? Bright bee hum. This is the humming sound of the bees. So this is onomatopoeia. Please be careful with the pronunciation. It is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. It's not onomatopoeia. It's onomatopoeia. The O makes the sound. It's just like onion. It's not onion, right? It's just like occasion rather than occasion. Something like that. So it's onomatopoeia. And why is that so? Because the humming sound has been expressed. Also, it will qualify as alliteration because the B, bright B, the B sound has been repeated. Guys, note that you don't write the letter B has been repeated. You always say the sound B has been repeated. I've told you already about pretty. Well, there are a couple of more things to study. Where not a frost has been is inversion. Because the words are not in the correct order. The correct word order should be where a frost has not been. Again, what has the poetess written? Where not a frost has been. The correct order should be where a frost has not been. Okay. The second one is into my garden come. So it should be come into my garden. That clearly seems the right way, is it not? Into my garden come clearly is inversion. Also, because there is an exclamation mark, the line terminates with an exclamation mark, which means that it is exclamation figures of speech. Strong emotions are expressed. Remember, the spelling of exclamation is not C-L-A-I-M. This is the correct spelling of exclamation, and the explanation is strong emotions are expressed. You can pause the video, make all the entries correctly. So before we go to the imagery, understand what this poem was all about. Throughout the poem, the poetess Emily has been advising Austin, her brother, to remain optimistic, to remain hopeful, never to give up. And no matter how gloomy the current circumstances are, she says that there is always bright sunshine someplace else. She is saying that into my garden come. So she is saying that Austin should shift the mood and should always be optimistic like Emily is. And in her garden, you have unfading flowers. There never has been any frost. There's never an element of melancholy. That means there is never any sadness. And I pray to you, brother, that you do that. She's saying prithee. And we have studied it very much in detail. Although it is an archaic entry, I thought you'd be interested in knowing this. I pray to thee. That's how the contracted form is prithee. It's not in use anymore. It's archaic. Pause the video and I will go to the next slide for imagery. Let's go through this. It's a question in your textbook. The poet has described two different shades of human feelings by using imagery of various forces of nature. We saw a couple of examples already. Pick out the terms or phrases that describe them. Complete the table given below. They have given a table that will come in front of you right now in a few seconds. One is done for you. So what they have done is darkness suggests hopelessness. So the components of nature are in this column, and the feeling that the poetess wants to express or bring out is here onto the right hand side. Okay then. So darkness is for hopelessness, sunshine is for hope, brighter garden is for the choices in life. I believe this one we saw in the introduction of the poem. In the introduction itself, the textbook did mention this. Unfading flowers are colorfulness. They are used to show colorfulness. They will never become pale. They will never lose their color. And the humming of the bees, the bee hum, suggests lively sound. Remember, imagery is very important. There is a poetic device question that can be asked. Imagery is when the poet uses various components to bring out an emotion or feeling or image, something like that. That's why from image you have the word imagery. You have good examples here. You can pause the video, make a good note of them. Okay, allow me to proceed. Okay, this is another question from your textbook. Colors mentioned in the hexagon given below are associated with something or the other. We are talking about emotions here. Something or the other is emotions associated with it. Discuss with your partner and fill in the blanks. And they have done one for you guys. They have done one for you. Watch this. So they have suggested that white, the color white, stands for peace. By the way, the color white also stands for surrendering. During a war, just to signify that you give up, you have the white flag. So white suggests peace. They have done that. They want us to write down about the other colors as well. Let's get started. The pink shows delicateness and health. I'm sure that you've heard of this phrase, pink of health. If you've used this, I'm sure you must have used this while you write your letters. You use it in a sentence like, hope this letter reaches you in the pink of health. So pink suggests delicateness and health. The blue color shows sky or coolness always. The red color shows love and life. What is ironic is it also shows danger. Isn't it ironic? The red color shows love, also danger. Okay. The black color suggests evil, hopelessness, and gloom. That's what black color shows. And finally, the yellow. Guys, it's not yellow, it's yellow. The color yellow shows sunshine and even brightness. That is what the colors stand for. These are the colors that they've asked. There are other colors as well, but of course, we will restrict our discussion to what they have asked. Let's proceed to the final slide for this particular poem. Imagine your friend is a table tennis champion who has won the semi-final. Well, I am a chess coach as well. Would have been so happy if this were about chess. But nonetheless, the subject is so common that you can apply it to any sport. So your friend has won the semi-final in the intercollegiate championship. Due to overconfidence, note this, due to overconfidence, she, that is your friend, neither practices, notice that it is SES in the spelling, she neither practices nor does she take her opponent seriously, which is a great mistake. This may result in her losing the final. Suggest some ways to make her aware of the importance of hard work and regular practice. Now notice that this practice is with CE and in practices you had it with SES. Alright, so this is an interesting question. In what happens is that you can take it either as paragraph writing or you can treat it as letter writing or something like that. So I am not going to write a letter for you, but we are going to discuss this in detail so that you can write either a letter on this or just a couple of paragraphs depending on how your professor wants this done at your college. The first thing is you should congratulate your friend on winning the semi-final. That's a very important victory. So she has entered the final now. So definitely deserves congratulations. Guys, let's take you to the notepad for a word that I want you to be okay with. The second entry for today. Instead of congratulations, you can use the word kudos. Guys, this word is kudos. It's not kudos. It is not kudos, it is kudos. What is the meaning of kudos? Well done. Okay, kudos is well done or bravo as they say. So please use this word, okay? Kudos is the pronunciation. I repeat, the pronunciation is kudos. So you can tell your friend, kudos, well done. Having talent. Now this line is very important and a chess grandmaster has said this line, applicable to all walks of life, applicable to not just sports but all aspects of life. Look at the line. Having talent is not enough. Hard work is important. And I believe that the line will come next. Yes, here we go. Hard work beats talent if talent does not work hard. What line this is? Again, Hard work beats talent if talent does not work hard. This is a very important point. You should tell your friend that yes, you are talented. That is why you find yourself in the finals now. But only talent is not enough. If you don't work hard, then the talent won't work for you. So hard work, or someone who does hard work may not be as talented as you, but if he works hard, then hard work can beat talent. It's a very nice line to remember. Next, you can tell your friend never to be complacent. Never to be complacent. You can tell your friend to remember to just recollect the story, the hare and the tortoise. Guys, this is not tortoise. This is tortoise. The hare and the tortoise story. Remember how overconfident the hare was? He just took a nap, just went off to sleep, and then slow and steady wins the race. Is it not? So never be complacent, because the question tells us that she is not taking her opponent seriously. So this is a very important point to write in your letter or your paragraph. The next point you can tell your friend is hopeful that your friend will practice and bring the trophy. So tell your friend that you are hopeful that she will practice, she will listen to your advice, and she will remember the points that you've discussed, and she will bring the trophy. Always be optimistic and support your friend. Take regular feedback from your coach. This is a very important point. I'm sure that they will have a coach or somebody senior to talk to. So you can tell your friend that she should take regular feedback, or ask the coach for any observations, and then work on her game. So you can say that take regular feedback from your coach and work on your game. This is what you are going to tell your friend. Also, there are probably 3 more points. Your opponent will also be doing the same. This is also very important. Well, even if you are not practicing, your opponent will be practicing. So we should always be up to date. It is not good to take someone for granted. So she should remember that her opponent will also be doing the same. She will also be practicing hard, because she also definitely wants to win, and it's a final. Winner takes all. Work on your diet and fitness. So this is, as a sports person, something that is very important. She should work on diet and fitness so that she is 100%. Now remember, we discussed about the colors. So you can say that she should be in the pink of her health. And finally, you can wish your friend all the very best, and end it on a happy note that as soon as you win the trophy, do visit our place. We will celebrate your success together. I'm 100% sure, guys, that you've understood all the points here, and this should help you. The reason why I have not written it in the letter format is because the question is not asking us to write a letter. The question just mentions that you have to imagine this. So either your professor will want you to write a letter or write it in a paragraph. So I have provided you with these points. You can expatiate on these points. That means you can elaborate on these points and get what you want. I hope that you sincerely liked the explanation. Thank you so much for joining. We will meet again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.